After a thrilling opener, the Bruins fall short in Game 2 of the Women's College World Series and have to get right back to it in the elimination round just to keep their hopes alive to win a national championship.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever you get your podcast, and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, download. Thanks for your support. It's your team every day. And thanks for tuning in every dayers. Where we get started today, we're talking a lot of UCLA softball, and we'll tease a little bit of UCLA baseball because by the time you watch this, it'll be out of date baseball-wise. But for the softball team, reacting to their 3-1 loss in the winner's bracket, losing to Texas Tech, the Bruins were trying to rally early. They had the bases loaded, one out. NiJaree Canady was not throwing strikes, getting squeezed, if you will. And then the Bruins couldn't score. They had one of their players at the bottom of the order after a couple of walks, a couple of 3-ball counts, take a couple of strikes and strike out, and then the Bruins don't come away with a run early in the game. And you go later in the game, 0-0, all the way to the 5th, and then a 2-out, 2-strike steal at home, and you're like, oh, you got caught sleeping. But then the Bruins came right back with the Kania Bragg bomb to right field. You're like, all right, let's go. And then all of a sudden, when one of the Texas Tech players couldn't even catch up to the heat from Taylor Tinsley, she rallies with 2 strikes and then barrels up a ball to put one over the fence. And then you're like, okay, maybe 2-1, the Bruins can still get back in this. Next thing you know, top of the 7th, pinch hitter, 2 out, bloop single, and all this damage coming late in innings, and the Bruins couldn't escape. Tinsley pitched her heart out, literally pitched very well. But unfortunately, the Bruins falling asleep on defense, a bloop and a blast, and that's the 3 runs needed for Texas Tech. And that's scrappy baseball. When you have the best pitcher in all of college softball, NiJaree Canady, that's what you have to do. You have to scrap and claw your way to earning victories. And this is a Texas Tech team that has never done such things in program history, using the NIL to bring Canady over from Stanford, right? And the Bruins had faced her before. They had some semblance of a game plan. But the changeup mixed with the rise, and the Bruins had no answer. No answer for Canady other than a solo blast until the bottom of the 7th, where UCLA goes single, Bragg pops out, and then you had a K on a 3-2, a rise ball near the top of the zone, and then UCLA grounds out to end the game. That was a heartbreaking way to finish, where you thought maybe, they can just maybe get one player on, get to that top of the order, Clements, who just hit the walk-off bomb against Oregon just a couple of nights ago, and maybe they can do something magical again. But the Bruins had their backs against the wall, and that's where they did their best work against South Carolina. UCLA, all right, backs against the wall. They're down to their final outs, walk-off bomb, dominated Game 3. They were fighting against Oregon. They trailed, took the lead, had a bad call go against them, hit a walk-off blast. Even though Canady was dominating all game, the Bruins still had the winning run at the plate with nobody out in the 7th. Which tells you they were adjusting, and then a missed time swing on a changeup, a good battle from Mojica, and just a well-called rise near the top of the zone when every single player, every single coach, every broadcaster, myself watching that, would have expected the changeup in the 3-2 in the 7th, and you're like, oh boy, riser, called strike 3, just froze Mojica. Unfortunate there for UCLA. And they have to turn around and play Tennessee. And Tennessee was this close to beating Oklahoma. It took a heartbreak for them to lose Game 1 on the Women's College World Series for them. And then they came right back, ruled Florida. So you know they're ready. They'll have one of the best pitchers in all of college softball. I wonder if UCLA will hand the ball to Caitlin Terry. It'll be another low-scoring affair. But UCLA, in a midday game on Sunday, needs to win. And with the flip, because they lost the winner's bracket game, UCLA is now on the Texas side of the bracket the same day that Oklahoma lost to Texas. So Oklahoma will be fighting for their elimination, fighting for their season to stay alive. As it moves to the other side of the bracket, Oklahoma will. And then UCLA is now on the Tennessee side, and they got to beat Tennessee, and they got to beat Texas twice in order just to get to the championship game. A lot to ask. I think it's doable. The Bruins have actually already beaten Tennessee earlier this year, but then they would have to beat Texas twice, where if they could have just rallied one more time, not fallen asleep on defense, had a big rally early, scored some of those runs when they had the bases loaded, one out, then the Bruins would be in a golden position, whether they had to face Oklahoma twice, once, not at all, or Texas Tech, or I guess it wouldn't be Texas Tech, but whoever came from that losers bracket as Oregon is going to face Oklahoma. The Bruins are on the losers bracket on the other side, so Tennessee and Texas twice is where UCLA has to win just to advance. Unfortunate that that's the way it rolled today, but I think they have the heart of a champion, and they'll play their best. Unfortunately, last year, UCLA, their season ended when they lost to Canady in the elimination game against Stanford. That's how they ended their Pac-12 membership against a Pac-12 rival. She transfers to Texas Tech and pitched a wonderful game. We'll see if these bats wake up the Bruin Bombers, if you will, the most feared batters in most of college softball, in Megan Grant, in Jordan Woolery. Some of the bottom of the order was responsible for some of the rallies or the run in this game in Kania Bragg's case. But all the pressure will be on Terry, and the Bruins have to be able to answer the heat. I'm not sure they're going to face a changeup as lethal as they saw today. It's just something that UCLA is going to have to adjust for. All right, you have a heartbreaking loss, very little time to wake up, recover, rejuvenate the spirits, and come back to try and win a game. All right, so UCLA in the losers bracket, they're taking on Tennessee, one of the SEC teams they have beaten this year, but it's different in the College World Series. Man, is that a different beast. Next, I'm going to go quickly over the UCLA opening win in the regional round for baseball. They took down Fresno State in dominant fashion. I'll tell you about that next. The NBA playoffs are in full swing. Every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, can't-miss moments, whether it's a game-winning shot, breakout player. There's never been a better time than now to get in on the action with FanDuel because they make it super easy to stay in the game. Before tip-off, live, there's player props, performance trends, same-game parlays. Fans had more ways than ever to play smart, win big. And maybe you're sitting there, all right, you're waiting for the end of the Knicks and Pacers series. You're going to go all in, mix it all up during the finals. You're like, okay, is SGA going to win the finals MVP? Is he going to have a fourth quarter performance for the ages? Is it somebody from the Eastern Conference that's going to come through and have a fantastic, surprising series and arguably upset the Thunder? All that and more, you can enjoy the biggest moments with FanDuel. And if you're new, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets, so make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Cruising on, we're talking UCLA baseball to wrap things up. I know this will be a little out of date. The Bruins already got a dominant victory. I couldn't talk UCLA baseball the other day because my brother was graduating high school, so I was spending all day celebrating him and his graduation. So I was like, all right, congratulations, Cam. So we'll talk about it now. Now, when you're watching this, UCLA is playing Arizona State in the winner's bracket, or they will have played, won, or lost. Either way. As I've said before, I thought UCLA would not win the regional and Irvine would win. Well, Irvine went out and lost game one to Arizona State, and then Irvine went and knocked out Fresno State. So that is up-to-date information. UCLA, though, they had the midday game, a little bit in the heat with a hot weekend in Southern California, and the Bruins started right away against Fresno State. 4 runs in the first, just pouncing right on this Bulldog squad, leading 4-0 after 1, 6-1 after 3, and then you're like, okay, 6-2 after 4. UCLA really ended things in the 7th inning. 6 more runs in the 7th, 7 runs in the 8th, and UCLA won 19-4, 22 hits, and that's a dominant way to open your regional against a team like Fresno State. So let's think about it. Start with it. Dean Martin's RBI single. You had a Salgado RBI ground out. Brennan with a double. And then UCLA is like, let's go. Dean Martin with the bomb. All this with maybe a bit of a quieter day from Rock Chalowski. Normally you're like, okay, if UCLA has a lot of runs and a lot of opportunities, is this a Rock Chalowski day? 2 for 5 and a run. Okay. And one of those was an infield single. This was more of a Moulavai Levu show. 3 for 6, 5 RBIs, couple of runs scored. You had Roman Martin who went 4 for 6, 3 RBIs, 3 runs scored. Even AJ Salgado came in, went 2 for 4 with 3 runs, got on base 3 times in this game. All right. UCLA was doing everything. And then Peyton Brennan, 3 for 5, 4 RBIs. You have 1, 2, 3 Bruins in this game that had 3 or more ribbies. They went out and there was not many left on base. UCLA left 8 men on base and they scored 19 runs. That meant there was traffic on the bases. There's probably traffic on the 405. Maybe you missed the game because you're stuck in Southern California traffic. I'm not sure. But a 1 p.m. Unique time for a host to start that game. But they had the other 2 teams, ASU and UC Irvine, on the later game for the national televised affair. The Bruins came out and dominated and said, hey, you know what? Let's take advantage of this. So they had more rest. Their pitching was most likely well rested because UCLA went with Michael Barnett to start. And then overall, UCLA went with 5 total pitchers, most of which went an inning and 2/3 or less. And if they went an inning and 2/3, like the number 2 pitcher, 10 pitches. So you had your starter go 4 to third, 74 pitches. In some cases in this regional round, some of these guys, I hate to say it, they will come back on 2 days rest on a Saturday or Sunday and maybe pitch Monday, if need be. They do. Coaches have to utilize their whole pitching staff. So pitching, bullpen, starting management is key. So when UCLA was dominating, they're like, all right, we'll take out Barnett. Maybe he plays a factor later in the weekend. But the 4 relievers UCLA used, whether they would be high leverage, whether they won't be, and in my mind, UCLA, any arm that's available must be ready to pitch this weekend. Limited action, limited pitches for this one. So it's great to see UCLA use 5 of these pitchers. I would say 4 of them are either available immediately on a Saturday night or on a Sunday if UCLA is playing to get to the Supers or if they're playing to get out of an elimination game. All right. This is all being said while they're playing ASU right as I'm speaking. I haven't seen that score. That's not really the focus of this. So the Bruins limited the damage, gave up 9 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned, 1 K. All right. Not an overpowering performance. The 2 teams combined for 3 strikeouts. So there was a lot of action, a lot of pitches put in play. And funny enough, there was 3 walks. 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Now, there were 4 players hit by pitches from Fresno State pitching. So if you put that all together, 7 free passes. But it's not like this was a walk fest. Fresno State made 2 errors. It was UCLA pounding the ball. They saw Fresno State pitching and crushed it. And this UCLA team can certainly swing it. They've had big deficits before. After their shutout in the Big Ten championship game against Nebraska, they're like, all right, week off, let's go. And they dominated Fresno State. Now, a lot more tougher challenges remain. Fresno State's already eliminated. UC Irvine in the elimination game. ASU right now in the winner's bracket. However it falls, the Bruins still have their work cut out for them. All right, Fresno State was the easiest of the games they'll have this weekend. We'll talk about it more throughout the weekend and give updates for UCLA softball, UCLA baseball, and we'll talk more football, basketball, talk women's basketball as well, as we're diving deeper into the official part of the offseason. By the time you're watching this, we're probably ticking in the month of June. Yeah, where did it all go away? Where did it all go by in this month of 2025? I don't know, but root on your Bruins to keep going good and keep going well. All right, hands up, Bruins fans. 8 clap time, baby. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA, fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins.